This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be locked with elbows with other heroes and we're going to be trying to overcome the Dark Overlord. See, this is a game where there's one person versus all of us. The good guys versus the bad guys. Today we're talking about Conan. This is for 2 to 5 players. It takes 60 to 90 minutes per scenario. Let me show you just a brief overview of how the game's played. I'm not going to go in super detail on combat or anything like that, but I'll see you on the other side. In Conan, one player will play the Overlord, and they'll be the bad guy, using different people to try to thwart off the heroes. All the other players will be on the same team as the heroes, they'll choose one of the many characters in the game. And here are 4 other characters that you could select. Now the game has 12 different scenarios, 4 different types of boards, and all sorts of different minis, so each of the scenarios gets set up differently, and you have different objectives. This is just one of them. Speaking of the minis in the game, here are some of the coolest ones that come. The detail in some of these are very good. Check out this snake. So each scenario has its own goal, and in this case, the heroes are trying to get to this treasure chest, open it up, inside will be a spell book. If they carry either this treasure chest or the spell book all the way outside to this street area before the end of the 8th round, they win. Otherwise, the Overlord wins. Now each scenario also suggests which heroes you should use and what equipment those heroes should start with, and they all start with a certain amount of action gems, and a certain amount will start in their reserve versus their fatigue depending on the scenario. All the heroes have the same 6 normal actions, which are melee attack, ranged attack, defense, move, manipulation, and reroll, but they all have different types of special abilities as well. So how the round works is, at the beginning of your turn, the heroes will all be able to make their turns in any order, so you can make a move and then have somebody else make a move, and everything's going however you decide until all the heroes are done with all their moves. Now at the beginning you would take any gems that are already used for other actions and put them in your fatigue, but after that, you get to decide whether you're going to be sort of moving this turn or actually doing stuff, or you're going to sort of be relaxing. And if you are going to be active, you'll take 2 gems from your fatigue and put them into your reserve. Now if there's already 1 character dead, you get to do 3, 2 characters dead, you get to do 4. If you decide that the only things that you'll do is essentially like defend or reroll, then you could bring 5 all the way from your fatigue over. But you can't do anything else. It's sort of like resting. You get a lot of rest back, but you can still defend or re-roll. Then you'd get to go to your action phase. So on your turn, again, you get to pick which actions you want, and other people will do things maybe right after you and you'll be coming back to you. But you can take these action gems and put it into a spot and do a specific action. This would be a melee attack, and you can only put the red numbers however many gems you can put in some of these right now. But this also tells you what, for each gem you put in here, you'll be able to roll a red dice. There's different dice, red, orange, and yellow. Now the red dice just have more success or attack symbols. Orange has second most, yellow has third most, but also notice they have little different shapes on here for colorblind folks. Now if you wanted to move before you do anything, everyone gets a certain amount of free movement. They can move up to 2 spaces, but if they do something else before that, these are those don't go. But you could always move more by using this. So we have 2 different types of attacks, melee and ranged, and again for each of those you would roll a specific dice and try to attack either someone in the same spot or possibly adjacent, and then somebody that you have line of sight of for this. If someone's attacking you, you could interrupt that attack with a defend and then roll a die there. This is manipulation. This is how you roll dice to open treasure chests and do different things, pick up things and things like that. And then here's reroll. You can spend 1 here to reroll any 1 die that you'd like at certain times. So those are some of the major actions you use. And then of course you have special abilities. Now as you carry things, you can see that this right here is a weight of 2 and a weight of 2. Those are encumbrances. You have a total of 4. Everybody has a different amount. Conan is really strong. He can carry up no more than 12. But these special abilities will go away once you're carrying encumbrances that are more than these numbers. And there's these player aids that have the different types of special abilities here. Defensive magic skills. I guess they're skills. Some miscellaneous skills are the yellow ones. movement skills are blue, so you can climb, you can do things like that, and attack skills. So these are all these special skills that different people can have. And after a hero's done with their actions at the end of their phase, we'll take all these and push these in the fatigue zone. Then it will go over to the overlord's turn. Now here's the overlord board, and this is set up different for every scenario. You'll use different units, different people, and you'll have a different thing here. So the board's just different, and different amount of gems will start in certain spots. Now what they'll do is they'll take their fatigue and they will place this many back into here. Now this depends on the type of game or type of scenario. You see there's X for some scenarios, there's 3s, there's 5s, there's 7s. Depends on the scenario, this changes out. Then they will take the round marker and they will move it up a specific round depending on what round they're in. This scenario goes to 8 rounds, as I mentioned earlier. Then after that, they go into the action phase where they can spend any amount of gems, X, to put into the fatigue zone, and they can do that by activating any 2 of these. If I want to activate this guy, he cost me 8 gems. This one cost me 1. So let's say I activate this, I put 1 over here. I would activate all of these movements, all of these blue pirates. And during setup, we put the certain bases on the minis to be the certain color. These pop off, and you put the certain colors depending on the color of that unit. So I would spend the 1 gem to activate this. They can move up to 3. When they melee attack, they have an extra die. They have some skills here, just like the other people. But when I activate this, these all slide down, and now this person, if I want to activate them, would be 8. Now you can activate up to 2 tiles. There's a special tile. Sometimes there's 2 in certain scenarios, and these do a special ability during the scenario. This scenario says if you do this, you can swap any 2 tiles. So maybe I want this guy and this guy to swap like this, and this one that I just used that I spent 4 on would go out here. So I would have spent 4 like that. Now, just like some of the other normal heroes, I can actually spend 1 to move, to defend, or to reroll, just like the heroes get to do as well, and then the overlord turns over. You continue doing this until you meet any of the scenario end game conditions. Now the scenario book is filled with 12 different scenarios. It tells you how many players each scenario is used for, it tells you some of the suggested setups and all the special rules and the setup, and there's 12 of these for all different player counts from 2 to 5. Now I'm not typically into Amerithrash type games. Sometimes I don't mind like sort of hybrids, I'm not typically into miniatures games. So this review is coming from that perspective. I mean, actually, just recently I played Mechs vs. Minions, and now that's the only sort of miniatures game I even own. Because I'm just not really into those mechanisms and those themes and things like that. Now with that being said, with this perspective, how do I look at this game? I think, well, first of all, it's a very expensive game. Even online at my sponsor Miniature Market, it's just over $100. I think it's $101. But I will say that you're getting a ton of stuff in that box. I mean, you're getting tons and tons of miniatures. You're getting 4 playable full-size boards that are pretty big. You're getting all the player aids, all the dice, all the tokens, tons of tokens and stuff, and you're getting a ton of scenarios in the game. So it's essentially many games in one. So I think the value is there for the game. Now again, I'm not a miniature expert by any means. I barely play them, but the minis looked and felt great. They had a lot of detail to them. Maybe some people that know better will say, hey, they're not as good as such and such, whatever. As me not being an expert, I thought they were cool and they looked very nice, very solid. But overall, I can say that even though I don't like this type of game in general, and they are not my style, I actually enjoyed the mechanisms of this game better than I thought I would. I love being the overlord. I love the whole river draft thing where you're spending certain, gems depending on which guy you're activating or units that you're activating, and they're gonna now be very expensive. And you've got to really plan a few steps ahead of what you're gonna do. And I love that mechanism. And I also like the aspect that everyone else is working together and they can do, a couple actions here, then somebody else can take some, then you can take some, and you can really work together as a team against the overlord. And I really like that about this game. So mechanically, thumbs up. I really like the game a lot. Now, this game still is not for me. It's not my taste. It's not the types of games I enjoy. So it's not one that I'll probably be playing a whole lot after this review, but I can look at it objectively and say I can tell there's a good game in here. The mechanisms are good. It's not down my alley, but I can see that the people that do like those types of games, I think are really going to like this. It's just not my cup of tea, but I can see it for what it is, a very well-designed game. I will say that I hope they come out with an FAQ. There were some ambiguous things in the rulebook. There's some things that you're reading in the scenarios, and then you go, how does that work again? You got to find out which of the other 2 rulebooks between the Heroes book and the Overlords book. Oh, you got to do this treasure chest. How do you do that with the complex thing? Oh, everything's a 2 unless it's, there's lots of stuff, but I wish they would have re-emphasize some of those rules in each of the scenarios during the scenario booklet, and I wish they'd have an overall FAQ, but overall I thought it was okay. They did a pretty good job teaching the game through the rulebook. But overall I gotta say this is a good value. Lots of replayability here. All those scenarios are sort of different. There's many different scenarios. I could say the game seems to be pretty much designed for 4 players because the majority of the scenarios are for 4 players. There's a couple with 2 players, a couple with 3 players, and 4 and 5. But overall, I think good value, and I think the people that like the style of game are really going to love it. But for me, it's okay. It's not my style, but I can see that it's a great design game, and that's Conan.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter, making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.